guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and today I am ranking all of my Nomad eyeshadow palettes. Nomad is having a sale starting on Tuesday, July 18th, and they are having 20% off site-wide. So I figured for the sale I would tell you guys about the palettes I have and which ones are my favorite to recommend to you for the sale. I'm also going to be having a giveaway in this video at the end in honor of my channel hitting 550 subscribers. Thank you if you are subscribed. And I will have more details at the end about what you can win and how to enter, so stay tuned for that. All right, without talking anymore, let's get into the ranking. Okay, so I do not own every single Nomad palette that has ever existed. I have 9 palettes. Of these palettes, I think 2 of them are not available, I want to say, so I will note those when we get to it. But the bottom of the ranking is the Nomad Hudson Valley palette. This is one of my more recent purchases from the brand, and I don't dislike it per se. It's not that it's bad quality by any means. Really, none of these are. I don't think you can go wrong really too much with Nomad personally. But this is just mostly mattes. It only has 3 shimmers. And it is, I don't know, just a very, especially the warm side, color story that I probably have. But I really wanted it for both the shimmers, and I really like some of these kind of cool tones, just different types of greens that I felt were somewhat unique to my collection. So I think this looks really good on the eyes. I love, out of all these palettes, the embossings that they do on the different eyeshadows is one of my favorite things about Nomad as a brand. So this one was really more about color story than it was anything with the performance that made it the bottom. And if this is your favorite, no hard feelings. You know, like I said, some of this is just personal preference and color story. I feel like this is easy to dupe or find in other brands, whereas some of the other ones higher up are more unique color stories in my opinion. In number 8 is the Cartagena Magica palette. This was, I think, the second palette I ever bought, so it's been out for years, and it still works perfectly fine, really. The shimmers, I think, on this one are really nice. The mattes, there are a couple that are satin. I feel like they've kind of phased that out now with their newer ones. I haven't really seen any satin shades. There are some in this, which I don't personally mind satin shades too much. I pretty much just use them in the crease like I would a matte personally, but I know some people don't like it, so I just mentioned that. And this one, I will say, color story wise, there's nothing to deepen anything with. I don't usually do a really light look. Like today, I have like a deeper shimmer, at least like something in that outer corner to give it like a little dimension. I think the deepest shades in this one are this matte red and this shimmer pink down here, and even then they're not that deep, but it is a really nice quality. I think this one again just came down to color story. Now I do still really like this palette. The embossings, again, wonderful on that. And if I want a little depth, I just grab a single shadow or another palette and I deepen it up, and it's not that big of a deal. But as a standalone palette, that's why I have this one ranked this low at number 8. Number 7, this is one of them I know is no longer available, and this is their America's Parks. There are a couple palettes I have filmed with on my YouTube channel, not all of these though, so if there are any like this one that I know I've filmed with, I will leave linked in the cards as videos in case you want to see these more in action instead of me just talking about them. And if there's any of these palettes I haven't filmed with that you would like to see more looks with, let me know and I'd be happy to film them. But this one is the America's Parks, and I wanted this for a really long time. I wanted it probably a year past when they put it out. I was just waiting for it to go on sale, and I got this among many of these palettes at their Black Friday sale last November, and I got enough palettes that I got basically 50% off everything, so that was great for me. This one I ranked here because it has enough of a color variety to me, but just some of these like swirly shades, let's see, maybe these two you can see better. That was part of what I was excited about, and I don't know if you can tell in this one, but that pattern seems to kind of go away as you use it. which I don't know why that should be that big of a deal to me. Obviously the embossing goes away as you use these two on the other shades that I really like, but I don't know. I think this was just one of the first palettes I saw with that swirl thing, and I thought it was going to be more revolutionary than what it really was. This does have some really nice cool tone options, and I do like this like reddish brown with gold is really pretty. So there's a few unique things in this palette, but I just think what I thought it would be in my mind and what it actually weren't the same thing, and then because of that I felt disappointed. Again, not that it was a bad palette, it just wasn't what I was expecting, and so that made it not live up to my personal hype of what I thought it was going to be after waiting, like I said, over a year after the release to get it. Again, it doesn't really matter, I guess, because you can't get this one. I genuinely thought when their new Safari palette that they just came out that I thought it looked like this Color Story, that I was like, oh, it kind of looks, I mean, it's not totally the same, but just the browns and the neutrals and stuff. Obviously this had more pops of color, but I passed and didn't buy that one because I felt like I could do all of those things in this one personally. Let me know in the comments if you have their new Safari palette, or you also have that one if you feel the same, or if you're like, no, they're actually super different. I would love to know. I'm gonna look at the sale to see how much 20% would be off, because I am looking at the Royal, whatever the Royal one is with the multi-chromes. I don't have that, and I know I also don't have the palette they came out with at Valentine's Day. I think those are the 3 palettes I don't have in this ranking, so I can't speak to those, unfortunately. In number 6 is the Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge. Now this one, I believe they were discontinuing. I don't know if it's out of stock yet, but I believe this was one that they said once it was sold out that it would be done. So I'm sorry if this one's not available. This one I really enjoyed. Again, these like kind of off minty green colors. Those are just really, I don't know, they're fun to me. I was very impressed with how pigmented these 2 shades were, being that they're somewhat pastels. But on the other side, Powder Specialist, a couple of the shimmers were like fails, did not show up that much, hardly any pigmentation, very dusty. So it was kind of like half hit, half miss for this palette. So while I really like the Color Story and the colors that were hits, the misses made it so that I felt like quality-wise I couldn't rate it any higher than that. But overall, I am glad I have this palette. It is really fun with all the different deer and things. Okay, the top 5 I struggled with. I kind of went back and forth, so this is my mood on how they're ranked today. But ask me again tomorrow, I might change my mind. Just, you know, I don't know what to tell you. The next palette is the one I'm actually wearing on my eyes today, just so that you can see her up a little closer. And I'm actually wearing this highlighter. It's an eyeshadow shade I'll show you in this palette as well. And it is their Porientia Paradise. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's this one with the turtles. It is huge, and that's actually one of the things that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so big. That's not my favorite thing. But when you look in here, I will say, at least I can without a doubt look and say these shades aren't similar. Like, it's not like, oh, there's so much repetition, right? Look at this. I would say the closest shades are Dolphin, this like lighter blue, and Stingray. Like, these 2 are somewhat on the eye similar. You can see this one's deeper than this one, but I'm wearing both of them in the crease, and they kind of looked similar on the eye, I will say. Maybe this one would pull a little more green if I use the green row. I'm not sure. I haven't used those deep green shades as much. But other than that, like, this is way more pink in my opinion. This is more like a red raspberry. They look a little similar, but on the eye I do think they look different. And you can definitely see a difference between the pink and the orange on the eye in my opinion. But yeah, I used this today, and then I used Bora Bora, which is this pink one, yesterday in a look, and I used it as the inner corner and the highlight. And then I used Whale today, this one down here. They kind of look white, but I don't know if you can tell. This one's slightly pink and this one's slightly blue, but I used it as the inner corner, and then that's what you see as my highlighter today. So I always love it when there is a multifaceted shade that you can double as, you know, a blush or a bronzer or a highlighter, and this one does that, and there's just a lot of variety. And even though it is mostly light, unlike the Cardigan and Magica, this one I think has a little more depth because of this lizard green matte, because of this Huahine, I don't know about that one, guys. This one I used as liner, that was really good. I'm using this shimmer Ocean today, and I used that shimmer to kind of deepen it up a bit, and then I just used like a black gel liner, not from the palette. And I think Tahiti looks like it could give a little bit of depth as well, depending on what other shades you use. Obviously, the lighter you use, something that looks even like a mid-tone can be a deepening shade in comparison. So yeah, this one's really nice. I did use yesterday no glitter primer, and then today with glitter primer, and it is much more reflective and glitzy with the glitter primer. That might seem like duh obvious, but there are some brands that I feel like you can get that without glitter primer. I will say, if you're new to Nomad Cosmetics formula, that the shimmers can be, in my opinion, lackluster on their own. They are very ultra reflective and shimmery if you use a glitter primer, but on their own, not so much. Maybe you like that about them because it gives you versatility. Maybe you want it more glittery one day and a little more muted the other day, but just figured I'd point that out about the formula, and that's been my experience. This came out about a year ago. They just posted on their Instagram their Fêtes de Provence. I don't know if that's how you say that or not. French is not a language I'm good at. But this palette, on the other hand, I am very in love with. It does have some of those like yellows and kind of pinky reddy raspberry colors like the Cardigan and Magica, but it's got the addition of purple, and it's got the one thing that I said was missing in there, which is some like bluey gray, deeper shimmers, a little bit of like a burgundy, like deep burgundy, looks almost like gray brown, and of course again we have the lovely embossings. But this one I really liked, especially for the yellow shimmer. I feel like you don't find yellow shimmers that often. I love a yellow shimmer. I'm still waiting for a brand to make, or you know, myself to collab with someone someday and to make a yellow based shimmer with purple reflect in it. I've seen green reflect, I've seen blue reflect, I've seen pink reflect, but I've never seen one with purple reflect in it, and I really need that in my life at some point. I just do. If you know a brand that makes one, let me know in the comments. Okay, we are down to the top 3, you guys. Now, number 3, I will say you can no longer get, so I apologize, and I'll be brief on it since you can't get it, but it is the Haunted Europe. If you didn't get this and you're sad, don't be too sad. Well, first of all, I love this cover that it does, this back and forth thing. It's just, oh, the mood of this one makes me want to go watch Halloween movies right now. I got all my Halloween clothes, by the way, because, you know, it's the end of July, almost August, so we gotta prep for spooky season. If you know, you know. But here's the palette. And Nomad, like I was saying before I interrupted myself, they just sneaked that in a couple months they are going to do another Halloween release. So if you missed this one and you're looking for something spooky, they are gonna have another release, don't you worry. But this one, I think it's the first bigger palette Nomad did, and I really like that there's more like grungy, kind of like dark stuff over here, and this is more just like fall, like autumnal. Once again, these shimmers I think look better if you use a glitter primer, but there's just so many combinations of things you can do, and this has a shimmery red, which I also feel like, in addition to yellow, is something you don't see that often, a shimmery red, or just a red in general. So that was really cool. And I love the theming, you guys. If you haven't noticed, Nomad does all its locations. So this one was Haunted Europe. It's very, you know, Dracula vibes. A lot of the different old vampire or different like haunted spooky things are in Europe. There's so much history there. So some of these, like the Europe one, just like the history behind it and the locations, I really get into those themes as well, and they do them so well. In number 2 is the Nomad Land. How do you say this? Elds and Iris? I don't know. It's the Fire and Ice palette is what I know it as, you guys. It is Iceland. And they always tell you on the back, if you don't know, both the color story, they tell you about the formulas and how many there are of each as far as like shimmers, mattes, whatever. And it'll give you the inspiration, and it'll tell you about the location. So maybe just me as a teacher, that little educational moment I appreciate. But this one I think might be the best color story, I think. I don't know. This one's just really great. I held off on this one for the longest time because it's got like 2 rows of blue, and I, for the longest time, was kind of anti-blue eyeshadow, but I mean, look at me today. Right? I've realized how to use it like in conjunction with more teals or greens or browns or other colors so that I like it. I just don't like a all blue. Like, to me, this is blue and green, what I'm wearing today, and that makes me like it a bit more. But this one, of course, has everything from purple to green to orange to another kind of shimmery red in this one, browns, blues. It's really versatile, and you can obviously again see the theming of the fire and the ice. So this one I think was the first palette that I felt like they really stepped it up on, I don't know, just the design, the theming, the color story, and everything. This is when they like really got on my radar. And number 1 is actually one of their oldest palettes, but it is also the first palette I bought from, and it's the one that made me fall in love with the brand, and that is the Tokyo Harajuku palette. And I'm so happy, guys, because I'm going to Japan next summer. I just signed up for the trip. I'm going to be a chaperone on a school trip with the global studies teacher. We're going to Harajuku, and I feel like I have to take this palette and take my picture somewhere there with this, don't you think? But Japan's like on my bucket list. The inspiration for this palette was Harajuku, but the destination they went to was Tokyo, which I will also be going to on that trip. And I just love kawaii themed stuff. I told Wes it's my dream to like have an entire gaming setup of just all kawaii things. I don't feel like as a person I'm kawaii. I feel like as a person I'm more the Haunted Europe palette, but decor wise I just really like one room. I would like one room to be like this. And this actually has a lot of satins, but this is one of the few palettes I have where the pastels show up on my skin tone and they don't just wipe away to dust. It still has deepening shades even though it's pastels, but the thing that I have never seen surpassed, even in this brand, is this bottom row of duochromes. They're the best quality of anything in any Nomad palette I have ever had, and I don't know why they haven't put more of these in their palettes. They say they've done duochromes in other palettes, but I've never experienced any of them as good as these. That's partially why I'm really curious about the multi-chromes that they put out in the Royal palette, but those are all really like deep jewel toned multi-chromes, and I use more like toppery multi-chromes, I feel like. Even though these aren't multi-chromes per se, you know, they're duochromes, but it also has cats. And if you know me, like, that's all I have to say to you is that it has cat embossings. So it's truly my number 1. I haven't used it in a while, but now that I've got her pulled out, I actually couldn't find it for the longest time, and I finally did for this video. So now that we have her pulled out, we should use her again, but that's my number 1, and that's kind of my recommendations, right, would be if you don't have them, the Fire and Ice and the Tokyo are my top ones, because, you know, top 3, the Haunted Europe isn't available anymore. But of course, like I said, I have another one on my eyes, and you know, I don't think anything's bad. It's just a matter of preference with some of the satins, some of the color stories and formulas and things that you might be interested in from the brand. So that is all, and now I'm going to get into the giveaway info. All right, so I will leave it all in the description, but basically in order to be entered into this giveaway, you need to, 1, be publicly subscribed. I say publicly because I need to be able to confirm and see that you are subscribed. So make sure you've got your settings set so that you have public subscriptions. Like this video and leave me a comment letting me know that you'd like to be entered into the giveaway. You can say other things too if you want to. It doesn't have to just say that, but leave me a comment letting me know, as well as, like I said, being publicly subscribed and liking the video. This is for those who are 18 or older, and it is open both in the US and internationally. So I'm gonna leave this giveaway up for 2 weeks. So I'll choose it on Sunday. In 2 weeks, I'll just do like a random generator, and I will put in a pinned comment whoever the winner is. So the big thing for this giveaway is going to be the Fairy Light palette from Saint Angel Sinners. Darcy, their owner, was so kind to send one of these over for a giveaway for one of you guys. I have this palette, got it in PR and have a video filmed on it if you're interested in seeing it in action to see if you would like to win it. But it is wonderful. It is lovely. This is the unused one, the one you would win, just so you can see on there. It's got a lovely array of mattes, shimmers, duochromes, and I believe at least one of these I think is marketed as a multi-chrome, but definitely duochromes at minimum. So that is like the big palette, so that the big item in the giveaway that you would be winning. But I will also put other things in there. I felt that since this video was about Nomad and their sale, it was only fitting if I put a Nomad item in the giveaway. So if you win, you will also win this highlighter from Nomad. It is their highlighting powder in Midnight Sun. Now this probably won't work if you are a deeper complexion. I will say it's pretty light unless you want to use it as like a shimmery powder in some other form, like, you know, inner corner highlight or something like that maybe. But that highlighter from Nomad is going to be in the giveaway, just like I said, as an ode to Nomad in this video and this sale. And then I'm also going to put in a really bright lipstick from Unearthly Cosmetics, otherwise known as Alien Cosmetics. This is Alien Cosmetics just because I got a set of these lip glosses discounted from the brand. Not that it's expired, they just like rebranding because they're Unearthly Cosmetics now. And you couldn't buy individual glosses, you could only buy the set. And so this was one of the colors that I personally wasn't interested in. So I kept the colors I was interested in, and I'll be passing this gloss on to one of you guys. And then I've also got a few of these Color Workshop and Wet n Wild. They're like an eye highlight, like a little glitter topper type thing. So I have 4 of those. An Almay All Day Intense Gel Liner in Rich Black. Just a little liner to go along with your eye look. Some nails. And usually between when I announce these giveaways and when I actually mail it out, I end up adding a few more other just random goodies to the bin. But that is what is in the box right now for you to win. So best of luck, and like I said, if you forgot all of those steps, I'll have it in the description as well. But thanks so much if you made it all the way to the end. I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye!